Whenever I was a young kid, like 4 or 5 years old, I was cast in little kindergarten productions. I was a clock, and just Hickory Dickory Dock sort of thing. And from there, it just completely took off in my brain. I got that. Got a crowd that was interested in what I was doing, and really engaged in what I was doing. And I think as people, we're constantly seeking human attention. We're constantly seeking to be validified in what we're doing, and that's exactly what happened. And from then on out, I was always seeking that. Whenever I was a kid too, my dad, he was preaching a sermon. I've told the story that he had a bottle of Sprite, a 2-liter, behind the pulpit, and I just got up onto the stage and started drinking this 2-liter Sprite in front of the entire church. And I don't care that my dad's giving a sermon and everyone's just laughing, what have you. Unfortunately, for a few years, I got away from acting, but got back to it whenever I was in about 8th grade. I did a little PSA about bullying, gun violence in schools, and the film crew showed up. They handed me a script, and they said, "You're going to be the guy who's going to shoot up the school." I said, "Oh, okay." I didn't think anything of it, and my vice principal the next day, she called me into her office, and she's the person that I actually held the gun on. She goes, "Hey, is there anything that we need to talk about?" And I'm like, No, everything's fine." She goes, "Everything's fine. You're not getting bullied by anybody. Everything's fine at home. Is anything going wrong?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "So that was just acting?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And right then and there, she got me into acting classes. And then, after high school, I performed at a theater in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, the Grand Majestic Theater, for a few years. I auditioned for X Factor and American Idol in that time. Then came to Florida a few years later, and here I am. I'm studying at Class X Studios, and I've just done a bunch of short films since I've been down here. So I just jumped into the film industry, and currently swimming in it. It would definitely be a production of Guys and Dolls that I did. I was Nicely Johnson, and that was the first time since I had been a young kid that I got that attention that I sought. Through rehearsals and what have you. I have this big solo, and in the rehearsals, I knew that was going to be my moment, that I needed to nail that. And come opening night, when that moment came, there's this big note in it, and I hit, and I held it out for a long time, and afterwards I got a standing ovation, and it's there's no comparison for it other than it's like a drug. It gives you such a fulfilling purpose that you get that moment, and then you go, I need that again, and that's that constant search of getting that validation. It wasn't a short film. It was this movie called Die Devil Clock Die that I did back in 2012, 2013, something like that. That was my first foray into films since I did that PSA, and I played this white gangster named Keith. And you look at me, and that's not me at all. But it was a nice change for me from doing theater so much and getting into that film and getting into learning how to get in character and what have you, and that led me to study various methods, Sanford Meisner, Strasberg, Uta Hagen, all the methods that are out there for acting, and that got me into learning that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do film. One that I have coming up is this web series called The Whisper. It's going to be about 10 to 12 episodes, going to get released early next year, 2017, and each episode is going to detail individual stories, but the common theme around them is going to be the whisper. And what that is kind of a subconscious aberration that happens audio-wise and visually, of people who are going through various traumas and what have you, and their subconscious kind of comes into a reality, but just for them. That's something that I think is going to be really exciting to put on film. It's a really great idea, and the fact that there are going to be 10 to 12 different stories of it, it's going to be really engaging. Another one that I have coming up, I actually just finished filming it. It's called 7 Minutes. It's the story about a young girl on her wedding day, and she's about to marry the man of her dreams. But the catch is that she's never met her father, and her father is there on her wedding day. And this is the 7 minutes leading up to that big moment of her meeting her dad. There's this really sweet, touching story, and I couldn't be happier with the production value of what I've seen there. That production was just such a joy to be a part of. Really relaxed, really fun, which is exactly what you want on a movie set. You don't want it to be almost slave driven. You want it to be a good, cool environment. The third project I want to talk about is going to be called The Prelude to the Iconic Time Box. It's going to be a fan film, devoted to a certain traveling time box. Can't exactly say what it is, but it's a young guy who has this dream to travel time, and he's so devoted to this dream. He puts his friends and his families and his relationships to a thin thread. Is he going to ruin these relationships for his dream? And it's a story just if you're a fan of something, whether it be Batman or Superman or whatever sort of Dungeons and Dragons, whatever sort of geeky thing, a lot of those people have a very devoted passion to this, and it's the same thing with this character. But that passion, how far is he going to push it? My favorite movie of all time is definitely The Breakfast Club. The Brat Pack, it's iconic piece of 80s culture, and that's one of the first movies that really moved me. That I remember the first time I saw it. I remember attaching to the characters, relating to them, remembering the lines and what have you. And still to this day, I just absolutely adore this movie. It's one of those movies that whenever you watch a movie, you can quote it the whole way through. That was the first movie that happened to me. And being in school, of course, The Breakfast Club is going to be relatable. That's why it's had so much popularity over the past 30 years. It's been out, maybe 40. I can't do math, but yeah, The Breakfast Club. I really love the work of Alejandro Inarritu, who did Birdman, and then he did the recent film with Leonardo DiCaprio. And I apologize that the name is escaping right now. The Revenant, that's what it was. Everything that I've just seen him done, it is just done so well. It's almost flawless. I mean, the guy's won 2 Academy Awards, and he's only done 4 big budget films that at least I'm aware of. I mean, whenever you have that sort of a reputation, that's pretty incredible. And to be able to work with someone like that, I know he'd be able to pull the emotions out of me that I may not know how to get to him, but he would. I was maybe 11, 12 years old, and Final Destination 2 had just come out, and I had no idea what the movie was about. And I went and saw it with this girl that I was dating at the time. You're 12 years old, you're not really dating anyone. But I remember watching the movie, and the entire next 48 hours, on the drive home, whenever I'm in the house, I'm looking at anything whatsoever that could kill me, that could fall on me. A bulb is gonna burst, and one of the glass shards is gonna get into my mouth and tear up my esophagus. I was thinking the crazy stuff like that for the next 48 hours. I mean, it legitimately messed with me as a kid. So that's one memory that I'll always hold from a horror flick. Oh, Batman, without a doubt. Batman could kick Superman's ass any day of the week. Has been proven. No, I love Batman because it's that story. Yes, he's rich and everything, but he started from absolutely nothing, and he said, "This is what I want to do," and then he did it. And that's inspiring to me. He stands for that justice and fairness in the world. I hope I'm going to be in Los Angeles, definitely. Out there, doing bigger production films. It would be absolutely incredible if I were to be doing films with directors like, Alejandro Inarritu, or any other of the big directors' name. If I were able to be, on the grand marquees of, the big box office films, that's the ultimate goal of where I want to be. But within the next 5 years, I'm trying to keep things real. Just definitely out in Los Angeles doing bigger production films. If it's one thing doing a lot of film has taught me, is that I don't think I would be good at anything else but acting. I might direct something. It wouldn't be anything that I'd be necessarily pursuing, but like I said, just the people who do their various jobs. Whenever I walk on a set and I have someone guiding me yelling talent on set, I'm always thinking to myself, I'm not the only talent here, because everyone who's in their various jobs are going to be good at what they do. Whether it be the cinematographer, the sound person, the director, producer, editor, they're all great at what they do. They're all very, very talented, and I know what I'm good at. I know what my niche is. I wouldn't want to foray into anything else for fear of doing a disservice to people who are in those professions. My website, timothyweal.com. My Facebook, you just look for Timothy Weal Actor. Timothy Actor is going to be my Twitter. And I have an Instagram set up. It's currently not active, but I believe it's the same, Timothy Actor. Whenever I do a film, I always try and do whatever the writer has written. I always try and do it a justice. And if we have a story that connects to somebody, and I've been able to be a part of that story. Whether that story is if it's personal to them, whether it be something as simple as, like I said, a high school film, or if it's something that they're trying to get over, like the loss of a loved one, something really extreme like that. If I'm able to take part in that just by being a part of that film, that means the world to me. Hey, I'm Timothy Weal. I'm sitting here with Sareth from acutipie.com. Go check him out.